Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. His name is Jim the Bag. My name is Peter Loshak. This is a live show we do every morning at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Jim and I give our live picks. Today is Friday, October 27th. Jim, last night was a mixed bag for both of us. Overall, a small losing day for both of us, but still, I'm feeling kind of okay about everything. I had a good day in NBA, and in the NHL, I got to start trusting my just my gut more. Not my gut, my feels more, my reads more, because I like the over in the Carolina game, which I didn't give. That was a lean. I like the Panthers -1, which I didn't give. That was a lean. So my leans also in NHL as well as NBA are doing as well or better than my actual picks. So that's a good sign. And Jim, you had some nice calls, some not so good calls. Overall, slight losing day for both of us.
Yeah, the Senators have really got me. They just seem to handle adversity incredibly well, handle all these injuries well. I keep thinking they're going to be devastated by these injuries, and they keep playing very well.
Yeah. All right. So we got a bunch of stuff today for the Friday card, and let's get right into it, I guess. Let's start with let's see. What would you like to start with, Jim?
Why don't we start with the NHL?
Okay, let's start with the NHL. There were only 3 games that had overnight lines, so 3 of those I did look at, and 3 of them I didn't have a chance to look at. But there is one that I did bet, and it seemed like it jumped out at me, and it is St. Louis against Carolina. Now, Carolina, of course, last night had a win over Toronto, and I had Toronto -1 as a loser, and I had the over on my bets and as a lean, but I didn't give it, and that was a huge mistake. I should have just thrown that one out there as well. So now Carolina comes back. They're going to be at home against St. Louis, who in general is playing very well, right? St. Louis is a team that I am happy to bet on, and with the current lines where they are, in Carolina on a back-to-back. I don't always like to fade teams on a back-to-back, but in this spot against a team like St. Louis, I would like to. I'm leaning St. Louis. I'm leaning the over and the St. Louis team total over. What do you think about all that, Jim?
I think you're on the right track with all of those. I was surprised the Canes were so easily put up a 6 spot last night on the Leafs. Big offensive outburst for a team that had been held to 1 goal 3 times in this young season. The Blues got into rally on Thursday. So they're well rested. They were in their hotel rooms resting while the Canes were having that tough game against the Leafs. Steen scored 4 points in their 5-2 win over the Flames. That's a big deal. Having Steen getting over that hand injury is a huge deal. And Schwartz is already handling most of the offense, so Steen's going to help so much. Even without Berglund and Fabry, this team has a lot of offensive depth. I tend to agree with you on the Blues side of things.
And what happened last night? There was a Darling started, or Cam Ward started, and then Darling took over. And now who's supposed to be starting? I'm seeing Darling playing again tonight for Columbus.
I would expect Cam Ward does not look good,
right?
And I would be surprised if he's going to be able to even get 30 games this year.
All right. Well, I will start with taking both St. Louis and the St. Louis team total over. And the best line for St. Louis on the money line right now would be -101. So I will take that one. And I will also take the team total over, which right now at Pinnacle is 2.5. -124. Seems like a decent shot there. You think St. Louis has enough life to them offensively that they can be relied on to put up 3 in a game like this?
I do. I think they can. I'm only going to take the Blues on the money line.
Okay.
That will be my only action here on this game. But I do think they have enough offense.
All right, so you're adding that to your official pick as well.
Yeah.
All right, so Jim and I both on St. Louis -101, and I'm on the team total over 2.5 -124. And I was thinking about the over in this game as well, just 5.5 -103. Give me your general thoughts on that one, Jim.
Which game?
St. Louis and Carolina.
Oh, sorry, I thought we moved on. I think it's a good spot now. The Canes put up 6 goals against the Leafs team that plays very different than this Blues team, and their defense, the Blues defense is strong. So I do think that I would lean over, but I don't have enough confidence in the Hurricanes. I think that 6 spot was an anomaly. As I said, Jeff Skinner playing in his home city. Some of these guys really step up when they're playing in Toronto. Now they're going to go back to a building with 9,000 people in it. And the Blues are a tight, well-coached team.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Colorado-Vegas, another game that did have an overnight line. Very interesting. Obviously, Vegas is just absolutely rolling. How long can they keep this up? Colorado's off a win. Not necessarily great, but definitely not bad at all. The question is, how long is this incredible winning play by Vegas likely to continue?
It's a good question. Now, they didn't bring in that Maxine legacy that I was thinking was coming in. They went back-to-back with Oscar Dansk, and they're going to use him again tonight. He's looked pretty good. I would actually have even more confidence in Dansk than I would in Subban. They are third in goals against. They're playing very well. Gerard Gallant has them playing very tight, very smart hockey. The Avs have bad special teams, and I don't think they'll be able to continue this start, although they are clearly much better than the 48-point team they are last year. The Golden Knights have been extremely difficult for me to figure out. 7-1 is nuts. And I just, because I don't have any kind of read on them, I'm just going to stay away from the Golden Knights until I do know. It's funny, their big star, the kid from the KHL, is now being is going to be traded, was sent down for a second time, and they told the agent, it's Shepachayov, they told the agent that he's going to be traded. So I don't know how the Knights are doing this.
Yeah, it is kind of wacky, and I'm agreeing with you, Jim. That's an interesting game, but I'm going to, in the end, just stay the hell off it. Then Nashville-Chicago is another interesting game that I think I'm probably going to stay off of as well. Chicago, of course, already played Nashville once at home. It was a low-scoring game, 2-1, and Chicago won, and I, would roughly be expecting the same thing here. Lean to the under, lean to Chicago at the current odds. Nashville, of course, both teams basically decent, but having problems scoring. And I would be leaning Chicago and Nashville on the under. Not sure if the odds are good enough for me to want to take either of those officially, though. What do you think, Jim? And I didn't bet them on the overnight. The only bet I made was on St. Louis.
Yeah, this is a tough card today. The Predators and Blackhawks are both well rested. I'm looking forward to see this Blackhawks team separating Keith and Seabrook. Their defense has no depth whatsoever, and now they finally made the right decision. I think it's the right decision to separate both Keith and Seabrook. Rene started the year extremely strong. 1.99 goals against average, 933 save percentage. So is Corey Crawford, 2.13 goals against average, 937 save percentage. The Preds have not looked good on the road, 1-3-1, and Blackhawks have looked pretty good at home, even though they're slumping. Again, this is a tough spot, and I was leaning under, and I'm going to stay away from this game. These are tough spots.
Okay, yes, I was leaning under as well. And, yesterday I did take 2 first-period unders where I tried to get cute and lost both of them, although the full-game unders on those would have lost as well. So maybe it wasn't a big deal in the end. But, slightly under, but I'm going to pass on that one as well. The other 3 games I did not look at because they didn't have overnight lines. So as of right now, Jim and I both on St. Louis minus 101. I'm also on the St. Louis team total over 2.5, minus 124. And do you have anything to say, Jim, about the other 3 games that all did not have overnight lines?
Yes, I'm going to, again, fade the Stars. This evening I'm going to take the Flames on the money line. Both teams are 5-5. Something's got to change. Flames are 1-3 at home. That won't stay. And Stars are 1-4 on the road. And I think because they're such a top-heavy unit, that is likely to be the case going forward. They allowed 2 late goals to lose to the Oilers. Their power play went 3 for 5 last night. The Stars' power play is now 2nd in the league, 3rd best penalty killing as well at 91.7. Hitchcock does those things well, but he also stagnates offensive players, and I don't see him making it work here. I just see Ben and Seguin getting irritated and upset being in the system. The Flames are 28th in the league in goals for, and they will start scoring. And I said that about Edmonton last night, and it worked, and I truly believe the same thing will happen tonight. I also think there's going to be goals in this game, and I wanted to talk it out to decide if I should take the over as well.
It's the over is 6, minus 110 would be the best line. But Calgary's going on your official record at minus 135.
Calgary is going on my official record at minus 135, and I'm going to leave the over off of the card right now, but it is a lean.
Okay, and then 2 other games that also did not have overnight lines. I did not have time to look at them. Ottawa, New Jersey, and Winnipeg, Columbus. Do you have anything to say about either of those games, Jim?
Yeah, I'm going to take the over in the Senators-Devils game. I know the Devils got shut out, and they've been off for a week. I've found when teams are off for those extended days that they play sloppy. The Sens are handling their injury problems so well. They scored 11 goals in their last 2 games. Now they lose Chris Weidman as well. I think with all these injuries, there's going to be more offense, not less. Devils have injuries of their own. One of the reasons why I like the over here is that Kincaid will be playing again. Schneider's out of the lineup. Schneider's actually been practicing and says he's good to go. They're going to give him another game off. And so it's Condon against Kincaid, and I think that's a good matchup for goals. Devils won 5-4 in their only meeting this year. Now, last year, the Senators won all 3 games versus Devils, and the Devils only scored 2 goals in those 3 games, but we know that was a very different Devils team. So I'm quite confident in the over here. I like the spot.
Okay, over 5.5, minus 119 is the current line.
Yeah, minus 119 is not great.
No, it's fine.
It's
fine. What's wrong with 119?
I would rather not be giving so much juice, but I'll take it. I think it's a good spot.
Okay, man, I'm looking at the picks that we gave last night. Didn't we give Philly and Ottawa under 5.5 minus 101? We did give that one, right? It closed at minus 140. The under. Didn't we give Vancouver Washington under 5.5 at like what was that? Like minus 120 or something like that?
I stayed away from that game.
Yeah, it closed
thankfully.
at minus 144 on the under. So these huge line moves, again, as in all sports, mean basically shit. Mean basically jack squat, because we beat some huge line moves last night and didn't matter at all. Okay, so let's see. Let me see. What else do we have here?
We got some interesting things on the chat.
Okay, yeah, I don't have comments here, but because I don't have the iPad that I was supposed to have. But what do we have here, Jim?
Well, Nate Dogg, my man, always gives really great stats, and so New Jersey's 4-3 against the spread and straight up, and 4 out of the 7 games have gone under. But I think that there's going to be a lot of goals here. Nate Dogg is Calgary's 4-2 against the spread and straight up. 4 out of the 6 games have gone under. Kobe Valentine has 91% of bets on Calgary. Screams for sharp money on Dallas, especially because of the Calgary line has gone down. I still think that we're getting extra value on Calgary and Edmonton at home because they had bad starts. And with this extra value, I think it's a very good time to make these bets.
Okay, so in NHL, I have 2 picks. Jim has 3 picks. We're both on St. Louis minus 101. Jim's also on Calgary minus 135 and Ottawa, New Jersey over 5.5 minus 119. And I'm also on the St. Louis team total over 2.5 minus 124. Jim, hopefully we can have a nice little winning day in NHL. Let's move on to NBA, okay?
Yeah.
All right, NBA, nice job. I was 3-0 last night. I went with I trusted my read on Boston, and that one cashed very, very nicely. I got to trust my reads in NBA. Again, I'm 12-6 now. Jim, you are also about 60% in NBA so far as well. Tonight is a kind of an interesting card. The first game, I'll tell you what I bet, and then you can tell me if you think that you agree with it and if I want to make an official pick. I did a great call on San Antonio, by the way, right? In their last game, you took them and they cashed. This game, though, I feel like maybe Orlando might be the play getting 5.5. I mean, there are going to be games where the Spurs don't cover. This might be one of them. Orlando at home getting 5.5 is something that I bet. Spurs great ATS. But is this one of the games where they might be vulnerable for an ATS loss? Maybe, maybe not. What do you think?
It's such a tough game. I agree with you. I was hammering this for hours trying to figure out. Even the Magic are a tough team to figure out. Obviously, Aaron Gordon is a different player this year, and that's going to help them very much. They have 3 guys averaging over 20 points a game. The only other team to do that is the Warriors. Now, the Spurs are only allowing 93.2 points per game. LaMarcus Aldridge is averaging 26 a game. Yeah. Spurs are 117-33 with him in the lineup. And I've been impressed with Rudy Gay filling in for Kawhi. In saying all that stuff, it does feel like a letdown spot for the Spurs. You know the Magic are going to be so up for this game, whereas the Spurs won't be.
Why do you know the Magic are going to be up for this game?
Because of they lost so badly to the Spurs last year in the regular season, and that sticks with the team. And the Magic are trying to create a winning atmosphere, and a winning atmosphere in their dressing room. And Aaron Gordon and Vucevic were talking about how important it is to beat the Spurs and to show that they're for real. They're 3-1, 2-0 at home. I think they're going to be hugely up on this game.
All right. I will trust my read. I did bet it on the overnight line, and I will trust my read on it. I'll take Orlando plus 5.5 minus 107 right now at Pinnacle is the best line on that one. And I was also thinking maybe a shot with the over. I'm not exactly sure why the total is as low as it is. It's just 207. Obviously, both teams can. Orlando can be high scoring, and San Antonio can as well when they're playing a team that likes to play that way. Why do you think this total is so low?
It is suspiciously low.
Yes,
you're right. Because the Spurs have proven that they can play any which way. They can speed it up, and they put up 117 easily against the Heat because the Heat were trying to score. All
right, I'm going to hold off of the total for now, and on the total for now, and I will just give the Orlando Magic plus 5.5 minus 107. Another game that is interesting is Charlotte against Houston. Now, Houston is what kind of team are they? They're obviously having issues offensively. The question is that going to change at some point, or is that going to be an extended issue for them? Maybe people in the chat can comment, but their shooting numbers are down. I have to assume they're going to improve at least a little bit, somewhat in the relatively near future. Is that likely to happen here? I did bet Houston when it was 2.5 on the overnight line. Now it's up to 3. That might be a wrong bet, though. What do you think?
I think the Nene injury really hurts. Having Capella have to play these extended minutes. I mean, sure, he stepped in big with 16 points and 20 boards, but it's not the way they want to play. They don't want to have him out there for such long periods of time. I like the Hornets here. I think they've shown that they can play well at home. Kemba Walker has shown that he can play hard and give them difficult matchups. Now Howard meets his old team. He's coming off 4 straight 15 rebounds games. Now Malik Monk was a big difference maker. He needs to step up in Batum's absence. He put up 17 points against the Nuggets. If he can do that. Because my problem with the Hornets was that where are they going to get that extra offense with Batum out? And I know that Kid Gilchrist was coming back, and that would help. I just think the Hornets at home is a nice spot, and I'm also leaning towards the under. I was curious to what you thought about the under.
I don't know. I mean, it's just, at some point Houston's going to pick it up offensively, and see, I was thinking maybe about but obviously the issue here is just our read on Houston, and obviously our reads on Houston are a little bit wrong, and I'm definitely don't feel confident in my read on Houston here. I liked Charlotte at home in their last game, didn't have the balls to give it, so I understand why someone would like Charlotte as a home dog. I'm going to pass on this game. Jim, do you want to give any pick on this game?
I am definitely going to take the Hornets with the numbers. I like getting the points.
+3, -108 is the best line right now at Pinnacle.
And I'm very, very interested in taking the under here, 211. I wonder what Justin Searcy says. He likes the under here. I think it's a good spot. Nathaniel Reynoso says without Ariza, the Hornets win. That's another issue with their three-point shooting is they don't have Ariza sitting in the corner waiting for the perfect spot. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, and I'm going to take both the Hornets. You know what? I'm just going to take the Hornets.
Okay. Hornets +3, -108 is the current best line on that one. Now let's move on to a huge game, right? Brooklyn and New York. The Knicks, of course, 0-3 ATS so far. That's probably going to turn around at some point because they do have some time. I mean, obviously the backcourt is going to have to improve, and will it improve? I'm not exactly sure, but obviously Enes Kanter and Porzingis is a formidable tandem up front. They're gonna get some covers at the very least at some point. Nets, though. 4 in a row wins ATS. 2 of them were close, but 2 of them were not close. Very nice job by the Nets in those 4. One of the ones that was not close was their home win over Cleveland, which is one of my official picks in the NBA, Jim.
It was a great call.
Tonight, I'm thinking maybe this is a spot. Try to time a turnaround and try to time a better performance by the Knicks and maybe take the Knicks -2. What do you think, Jim? See if there's anyone in the chat who can comment on that.
I would, Sean Pham says New York will win by 8 or more.
Well, that would be nice. maybe I'll sell up to 7.5 and get a huge underdog line there.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting game. The issue is the Knicks 3-man backcourt. Right. Sessions, Hardaway, and Lee are looking terrible. I don't understand the $71 million that they gave to Hardaway. I'm with you. I love watching Porzingis and Kanter together. Yeah. They're going to have a nice future in New York. But the Knicks have the worst offense in the league, 93.3. That's 30 points a game less than the Nets. Yeah. 30 points a game. And before we set up the parade route through Brooklyn, the Nets are allowing 119.2 points a game, and they're 0-2 on the road. So I was looking closely at the Knicks here, but I think that I know that D'Angelo Russell is not going to play again, but Dinwiddie looked very good, and they're moving at such a fast pace. Yeah. I was, my lean was under. Blake Kersey says I like Knicks on the first look. John Kerry says the over looks good. Searcy's asking if Russell's playing. He's not going to be playing. Big Boyum says Brooklyn wins by 7. Skooma Steve says Knicks look lost.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why the Knicks are such a small favorite here. If they didn't look lost, they'd be given 4.5 or something like that.
You're right. And Sean Pham's with you. He says matchup problems for the Nets.
I'm going to take it just because I'm deciding that as of right now, I'm going to trust my reads on the NBA, which has been a massive mistake at times in the past. But this year, my leans are doing even better than my regular picks. And if I had a little bit of balls, I'd have a mind-blowingly good record, except for just a good record over a small sample size. I'll take it. Knicks -2, -108 at Pinnacle. I'm going to take it.
I am going to dangerously and with some fear, I'm going to put in the under in this game. I'm going to take the under as an official pick.
Okay, the Knicks and the Nets on the under. Let me find it. 220.5 minus 105. Under 220.5 minus 105. Nets and Knicks under 220.5 minus 105. That is the current line at Pinnacle and a few other places as well. 5 dimes. 220.5 minus 105. You like that one, Jim?
I do. I think that backcourt of Sessions, Hardaway, and Lee will slow the game down. I think that the only way to do it is to slow the game down. Now, I know that Porzingis will be firing from all angles, and he could put up a huge game. I think now that they have tape on how this Nets offense is going to work without D'Angelo Russell, that the Knicks should be able to put some kind of a defensive front up. And I don't think the Knicks are scoring 93.3 points a game. Are they going to be able to put up 105, 110?
No, good point. Yeah, nice read there, Jim. All right, then the rest of the card. 2 games didn't have overnight lines, and 2 that did that I'm staying off of. Toronto and the Lakers. Obviously, the Lakers coming off of the big win against Washington. Now they're getting 6 points at home again. Toronto coming off a close loss to Golden State. Valanciunas and Nogueira still maybe banged up. And the Lakers are getting 6 points. I'm going to stay off of that game, although I guess maybe I'd have another lean to the Lakers getting all those points. Then Washington, Golden State. Very interesting. Golden State off another win, but ATS lost. Now 1-4. ATS on the year for Golden State. So this might set up for another 6 or 8 point win by Golden State. Another win, but straight up win. But ATS lost. I'm going to stay off of that one as well. Do you have anything to say about either of those, Jim?
Yeah, I'm going to stay off the Raptors-Lakers game as well. I need to keep watching them with Podol playing extended minutes. He had 11 offensive boards versus the Warriors.
Wow.
I was shocked by that. And the Lakers are a deep team. 6 guys averaging 13 points or better. I'm concerned. If I was going to lean, I would lean Lakers. And we had a really nice look on the Lakers when we had them over the Wizards.
Yes.
And then with Wizards and Warriors, it's another tough spot. And I could easily see the Wizards covering. The Wizards are talking about their improved bench with Jody Meeks, Mike Scott, and Tim Frazier. I mean, these guys are fringe players. They need Markieff Morris back badly. Kelly Oubre should not be filling in extended minutes. One of the reasons why I think that the Wizards are going to look good is that Livingston is out of the lineup. He's going to be at the funeral for Devin Harris's brother. So that I was interested with thinking that maybe Beal and Wall take it upon themselves to get in the scoring competition with the Warriors guards, but that plus 230, plus minus 230, it's too big. The over under is just too big. It just scares me.
Yeah, I'd have a slight lean to the under, but obviously Golden State with all their struggles is still going very high scoring this year. So I'm going to stay off that one. And I would have a slight lean to the Lakers getting 6 again, although it's not a great spot for the Lakers here. But yeah, I would be leaning at getting that many points. The Lakers might be undervalued going forward, but I'm going to hold off on that one. That is a lean, though, and probably going to cash and be another lean that I will whine and complain about on Monday that I didn't give officially. All right, and then there were 2 games without overnight lines I did not look at: Denver, Atlanta, and OKC, Minnesota. Although at first glance, I'm thinking that the Denver-Atlanta game on the under might be worth the shot. Of course, Atlanta played last night against the Bulls. Very low scoring game, and Denver has been very modest scoring as well. So first glance, first thoughts would be to the under on that one. The other game, OKC and Minnesota, no opinion on it all. Jim, do you have anything to say about either of those games?
Well, yeah, I was interested by the line movement in the Thunder Timberwolves. It opened at 214.5. It's gone all the way up to 217.5. I think that the under is the play here because the Wolves are going to get Jimmy Butler back into the system, and there's going to be some, it's going to slow the pace down a little bit, getting Butler back into the system. And Westbrook has been deferring a lot, and I still don't have a good read on this Thunder team, but I think we're going to have value fading them. Both teams are getting used to their new players. This line moving up to 217.5 is enough to make me want to take the under.
All right, but since we use 10 o'clock lines, I'm only seeing 216.5. Is that okay, or is
definitely?
That's all right. Thanks, Jim. Just because I like to use, but you will get 216.5 minus 102. All right, so Jim's going to take Minnesota under 216.5 minus 102. OKC and Minnesota. All right.
And that Nuggets-Hawks game is a tough spot. It's the Hawks' home opener. They're going to get Schroeder back. The Hawks have beaten the Nuggets 4 straight times overall, 5 straight times at Phillips Arena. But It's one of those. It's like, Millsap's coming back to play his old team. He's still trying to get comfortable with Jokic. But the Nuggets, man, did they look awful in their loss to Charlotte. They were down 62-39 at halftime. I'm going to leave this game alone, but my lean would certainly be the Nuggets bouncing back. But I just don't trust this team at this point.
Yeah, I wanted to take the Hornets on that one, but hey guys, can you close the door? Thanks very much. All right, I wanted to take Charlotte on that one, but I didn't have the balls. All right, so in the NBA, we got Jim on Charlotte +3, the Nets under 220.5, and Minnesota under 216.5, and I'm on Orlando +5.5, and the Knicks -2, and that's it for the NBA, Jim. Right?
That's it. I mean, some comments. Super Lit thinks that the Timberwolves are the lock of the day.
Timberwolves at +2.
Yeah, and Minnesota is 5-4 against the spread, and OKC's 6-3 straight up, and 6 of the 8 games have gone under. I think that there's also Nathaniel Reynoso says Thunder to get revenge on Andrew Wiggins as winner.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota has had two sort of eye-opening blowout losses where they lost against the spread by a mile in both of those games by like 20 points each. So something's up with Minnesota, and I'm going to have to do more research into that before I'm going to time a turnaround, because their last 2 games, they were way overvalued. Lost ATS by 20 points each game. Yeah. Not a good sign for Minnesota.
No, not a good sign.
ATS-wise, at least.
I think they're going to be a great team to fade until they get comfortable with Butler in the system.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on, Jim, okay?
Yeah, man.
Let's move on to football. We got college football tonight, and we got CFL, I believe. And yeah, Jim. Wow, we were off on the NFL last night. Let's just own that one right there.
Oh God, was that embarrassing? Just
Ooh,
awful.
That was embarrassing.
Oh God, it was just, and
God.
I could feel it right away.
Yeah,
like literally, like 4 or 5 minutes in the game, I was like, oh no, this is not looking good.
Yeah, and then I continued watching in the second half, and I was just like, oh God, oh man, oh geez.
Yeah, man, losing by 40.
Oh God, and they were like, people were like, oh, what did you have, Miami? I was like, no. They were like, well, yeah, the under, maybe that could still hit. I was like, no, I had the Raven. Hey, you guys want to turn off the audio on the over there so that we can concentrate here? Thanks very much. Okay, yeah, all right. So yeah, all right. Enough jokes. All right, no more jokes, no more distractions. Let's get into the football games for tonight. College football and CFL. In college football, obviously Florida State and Boston College. That is a huge game. Obviously, big line move in favor of Florida State, all the way up to like 5.5 or 5 or 4. I gave the opinion earlier in the week that I was thinking maybe with a shot with the over at 47. I think that Boston College's offense is somewhat for real enough to put up something here. Florida State should be somewhat productive as well, and I was thinking about a shot with the over 47.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was thinking about the over quite a bit. It's been unbelievable to watch Florida State fall apart so badly this year. And Boston College coming off back-to-back wins where they put up 40-plus points. Winning at Louisville is a big deal. I think Boston College is going to be able to put up some points in this game.
Yeah, I did have a nice call last night with the Stanford game on the under, and I said that was my favorite play of the card, and then I threw on 3 others just sort of like as an aside, and they all lost. I did the same thing, I think, with UFC Fight Night 119 coming up. I really like the over in the Machida fight, Brunson. That's definitely my favorite play on the card. But then in the video with Andreas Hale, I threw on like 3 other plays that might wind up all being losers. But that's okay. You have to bet size appropriately. My biggest bet was definitely on the Stanford under last night, and I'm leaning over here in Florida State, Boston College, and then the Tulsa SMU game is interesting. Slight line movement favoring Tulsa. It's a 10. It opened at 10. Now it's down to a 9 or 9.5. And I would have a lean to SMU here, despite the fact that Tulsa clearly, has talent to hang with a team of SMU's caliber. Defensively, they're banged up and vulnerable, and I think that SMU should have enough offensively to get a double-digit win here, pull away at some point. Not a great bet, but that would definitely be a lean. And those would be my only 2 leans on these 3 games. Tulane and Memphis is going to be a pass for me. Very, very hard to figure out how Memphis is going to respond here to Tulane. They did play well against Navy's option a couple games ago, but this is a little bit of a different option. So it's similar to what Tulane does, similar to Navy, but there are some fundamental differences. Memphis, though, also has 2 extra rest days, so that benefits them. and it's going to be and also some inclement weather in the forecast. So it's just going to be a total pass for me. My leans would be Florida State, BC on the over, and SMU -9. Do you have anything to say about that, or any comments about people from people in the comments section, maybe agreeing or disagreeing?
In the comments section, we have Terrence Kelly saying Florida State is the lock of the day. Delta 7575 likes the Mustangs 44-28 to win 44-28, which would be a nice spot. I mean, I agree. I don't see how Tulsa can get stops. Their defense seems improved, but Ben Hicks is leading the Mustangs with a lot of confidence right now. 14th in the country with 313.3 pass yards a game. They're looking good. And then Florida State, the Tulane-Memphis game is in a tough spot. I can understand why you're uncomfortable with it. Memphis has beaten them 10 straight times, and the Green Wave, 12th in the nation in rushing average, and then 266 a game, and Memphis is 108th in rushing defense. So,
all right, well, I'm going to hold off as far as an official pick is concerned for tonight's college games, but would have a lean to the over 47 in Florida State, BC, and a lean to SMU, now down to 9 at Pinnacle. But I'm going to hold off as far as a pick is concerned. And then the two CFL games, I don't know if you looked at either of those, Jim, but Ottawa and Hamilton both covered a ton of games recently. I guess I would have a slight lean to Ottawa minus all those points, but I'm not going to make a bet on that. Also, slight lean to the over on that one. Montreal against Saskatchewan. Obviously, Montreal's been getting blown out game in and game out, slightly to the under on that one, and those would be my leans as far as the two CFL games. Do you have anything to say about either of those?
Yeah, I think your leans are on the right track. The Red Blacks. The issue with Ottawa right now is they've just lost their best receiver, Brad Snipperly, for the season, so we'll have to see how they handle that. But the Red Blacks, if they win, they take over first place in the Eastern Division. But the Tiger Cats are trying in the second half, 5-3 under June Jones, so they're not going to just give in. They also, Tiger Cats also get Jalen Saunders back, which is going to be a big help. But it's these games very late in the season are difficult to figure out. And then the Alouettes have just completely given up, lost 9 straight, 0-7. They've allowed 208 more points than they've scored this year. And the Rough Riders are looking good. Duron Carter, as we talked about last week, playing both sides of the football, 1,000-yard receiver, had a pick 6 in his first game as DB. And the Rough Riders are a good team.
All right, so let's move on to a MLB Game 3 of the World Series. Houston, of course, doing very, very well at home in the postseason. Yu Darvish pitching great. Lance McCullers pitching great. So starting pitching, I would say roughly a wash here. I guess I would have a slight lean to Houston. Not totally jazzed about taking a -128, -130 type line, but Houston clearly has a home edge in the playoffs, and seems like they should be able to pull this one out late. Maybe I'd lean Houston here. Jim, you've been great in MLB in the short time that you've been covering it in these shows. I believe you are 8-4 overall in MLB. While I pull up your record in MLB, why don't you give a little breakdown of this game, whatever your opinions are?
I think that the Astros bullpen is going to continue to be a problem, and the Dodgers bullpen mishaps is an anomaly. I think the Dodgers bullpen will bounce back, and the Astros bullpen won't. They're going to stay with Giles. He's got 8.22 ERA. Opponents have an OPS of 1.015. And then Davinsky is not helping. Musgrove is not helping. I think I think McCullers is going to throw a good game. He's looked great in the playoffs so far. In 2.08 ERA, 0.85 WHIP. I think it's a wash in starters, and then when it comes down to relievers, I think the Astros have a big problem. And people on our talk really like the Dodgers situation. Dave Huang loves the Dodgers run line, says easy money. There's not been a lot of Astros calls so far in this on the chat. I think that the Dodgers are the play here. I don't have enough confidence to make an official pick. I'm not going to bet this game either. The issue to me is simply the Astros bullpen. It's just that they're just that questionable. So if McCullers and Darvish both pitch 6 innings well, then I'm going to make an in-play bet on the Dodgers. Okay, so no official play for you, Jim? No.
All right, let's move on. Usually on Fridays, we get some NFL picks from you. Would you like to do that today, Jim?
I would love to.
All right, so let's set this up. Football and NFL. Let me just pull up the NFL sheet here. I have given one official pick. Well, no, I've given 2 official picks this week. One of them was a was a horrible loser that I had to eat. Baltimore team total under. That was a loss for me. I'm still 9-7 in my official NFL picks overall in these shows. That's up 1 unit, up about 5% ROI. And I have already given Tampa Bay -2, -110, along with Al McMorty this week when I previewed that game. That was the way I was liking. I actually talked about that on the Monday show with Donnie Rightside. That was the way I was leaning. Then I talked about it with McMorty. Wound up giving it -2, -110. And other than that, no NFL plays for me. Jim, overall in football, before last night you were up a part of a unit, and then after last night you're down. But you're 8-8 overall, minus about 0.8 units, minus 4.5% ROI in the football picks that you've given in this show. Jim the Bag, what would you like to hit us with for NFL on Friday here?
Well, I already have the Tampa -2.
Okay.
So I already jumped all over that. I agree with you guys completely.
All right. Well, so if we're going to give it, we have to give the official line that exists right now. And good news. Sometimes in a situation like this, you would have to be taken 2.5. I'd ask you, is that okay? Blah, 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 right? Well, now, Bookmaker and Bet DSI, we can offer you -1.5, -110. How do you feel about that?
-1.5.
-1.5, -110. How do you feel about that, Jim?
I feel incredible.
You want to add that onto your official record?
I very much do.
Tampa Bay -1.5, -110 is an official pick from Jim the Bag in these shows. What else do you like, Jim?
I like the Raiders at Bills over.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the Raiders' defense so bad? They look good on paper, but they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
Carr looks like his old self, threw for 417 yards last week. Amari Cooper caught 11 passes for 210 yards. And the Bills' offense is looking good, too. Tyrod and Shady are doing their things. Deontay Thompson's come out of nowhere to really provide some big catches for them. And people are betting the under. Mm-hmm. The line's been going down. And I think this is a great spot, and it's my best bet in the Beat the Bag competition.
Okay, well, it's a split line, 45 or 45.5, so we'll give you 45 -110. Buffalo over. Buffalo, Oakland over 45 -110, Jim.
Yeah, and then I've got a couple unders that I'm going to be adding to my card. First off, I'm taking the under in the Chargers at Patriots. I like both of these defenses, and I think they're improving quickly while each team's offenses aren't. I know that the Pats will figure out their offense, but they've done a great job to put a defense together with no pass rush. I don't know how Belichick does it. And then Bosa's an absolute monster. Their D's getting better each and every week, and I think it's a nice high number.
48.5 -102 is the best line right now that I'm seeing here at Pinnacle.
I love it.
Okay.
48.5 -102. And then my other action is I'm taking the under in the Falcons at Jets. Sarkisian looks like a drunk hobo with this offense.
Yes.
Was Kyle Shanahan the real MVP of the Falcons, though?
I definitely think that, just a little side note, I think he's a big problem for Atlanta, and I think he's going to make them overvalued and a good bet against until they get rid of him, basically.
I agree. I mean, how is this guy has no idea how to utilize Taylor Gabriel? These are pretty simple things to put together. Falcons have one score in their last 6 quarters. Part of the reason why I like the under so much is that Dan Quinn's defense is still very good. And the issue with the Jets offense, now I've been very impressed with Josh McCown. At 38 years of age, the way what he's done. But the problem with this offense is Powell and Forte are leading the team in rushing and receiving. And that's just not going to work. If you can't get Curse and Anderson touches, your offense is just not going to work. And I think Dan Quinn will figure that out quickly, and I expect a low-scoring game. So that's another under for me.
45.5 -110 at a bunch of places. Is that a good line for you?
I love it.
So these are all going on to your official record in this show, right, Jim?
Right.
And that's it, just 4 plays?
Yeah, well, I'm adding just 4 plays, so I've already got a loss, so I got 5 plays this week.
That's right. All right. So Tampa Bay -1.5, Buffalo over 45, Pats under 48.5, and the Jets under 45.5. Jim's adding those onto his official plays, and that wraps up the show for today, right, Jim? Anything else?
It does. It wraps up the show.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And don't forget that tomorrow at 11 a.m. I will be previewing the entire college football card with Big Man on campus and giving some official picks finally. Hopefully that will be pretty good. I haven't given any college football picks officially this week, except for the ones last night where my top play won and the 3 other ones that I threw on there lost. But hopefully I'll be able to find some nice leans tonight and tomorrow morning and give them out. That'll be at 11 a.m. Eastern time here at SBR Videos. And then, of course, on Monday, Jim and I will do it all over again, 10 a.m. Eastern time, and hopefully we'll be able to we'll be able to settle down, trust our reads, give our leans and hold off on the leans that we should hold off on, and overall have a positive week next week, hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right. Tune in on Monday.